Awesome. 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 Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me and for our incredible team and for joining Kim McCall. My name is Stacey Whitmer. I will be together tonight. Myself and Kim McCall are going to be sharing a little bit from our hearts about when we knew we were meant for more. So we're grateful that you are on this call with us. We so appreciate that you're taking the time to do this with us. Just know that, Kim, myself, and a lot of people, we are all on the same mission. If you guys are jumping on, if you're new jumping on, if you can just mute yourselves as you jump on, if you don't mind. Thank you so much, just so we can keep the lines clear for everybody to hear. Kim, myself, and so many other incredible leaders that we have on this call right now, we are truly all on the same mission. And that mission is to inspire healthy living around the world. I have been partnered with this incredible company, the Juice Plus company, for about a year, for over 4 years now. And I am a national marketing director with this company. And the thing that I love the most is that people from every walk of life, no matter who you are or where you're coming from, you can join this mission. And you can do it at any level, and you can do it at any pace that you want to do it at. It's truly yours to do. So what happens is, as we go through our lives, we find that sometimes maybe we're settling. Maybe we're not truly where we feel we were meant to be. And a lot of times we get stuck. We get stuck in that space. We get stuck because it's comfortable, because we're afraid, because we don't know truly what is out there, and we settle and we kind of hang out there for a while. So tonight is truly about sharing with you. Myself and Kim are going to share with you about when we knew we were meant for more. And through that sharing process, we're going to answer 4 questions for you. We're going to answer what made you think you were meant for more? What obstacles did we overcome? And are we still overcoming as we go through this journey? What stories did we tell ourselves along the way? And how did those stories change? And also, where do we see ourselves now? And where do we see ourselves going moving forward? So like I said briefly just a few minutes ago, I am Stacey Whitmer. I am a national marketing director with the incredible Juice Plus company. I'm also a certified holistic health coach. And it's one of my favorite things about what I'm about to share is that you're going to hear my story, you're going to hear Kim's, and they're both very different, but yet we are on the same mission with the same incredible company. So no matter what's going on in your life, you can say yes to this, and we will meet you where you're at. So I knew in my life, I was a biology and kinesiology major in college, and when I graduated, I went into pharmaceuticals. I was in a big deal corporate job for 11 years. And the first part of that career, I thought, fine, this is what I'm supposed to do, right? What do we know? That we go to college, we start a career, and we go to work. So that's what I was doing. And I just assumed this was my forever because that's all I knew. Well, there were 2 specific times that I truly knew that what I was doing wasn't where my heart was anymore. Because I will be perfectly honest, when I first started, I was young and I felt fancy. I was like, I have a big fancy career with a fancy income, a fancy car. I'm wearing fancy suits every day. I was 20 something and I felt like, man, I've made it until I had my children, until I was paying my nanny more than my mortgage to raise my kids. That really I didn't make it. At that point, I was struggling. I was settling, and I didn't want to do it anymore. But I will tell you 2 specific times that I remember truly like they were yesterday. My oldest is now 8. My youngest is 7. But when my oldest was about, I would say 4, because he was just in preschool, and my little guy was about 2, I was saying goodbye to them. It was 8:15 in the morning. It was a February morning, and it was brutal. It was freezing cold. I was all bundled up, and I got in my car, and as I started to pull away, I saw my children, because of the heat in the house and how cold it was outside, my front door was kind of foggy, and I saw my kids pressed up against the window, hysterical crying, both of them. So as I pull out, I see this vision of my babies. Heartbroken. I remembered, and I would cry probably 3 days out of 5 that I would leave my children with my nanny to raise my kids. It was not what I wanted to do, but that one day, this one specific day in February, when I saw this vision of them literally trying to like push this door open to come get me, I thought to myself, this can't be it. This can't be the rest of my life. Even though I thought I had made it, even though I thought this is what I wanted, at that point, it wasn't what I wanted anymore. And I was done. But where was I going? I had a big career. I couldn't do it. I couldn't jump because I was scared. What was I going to do? Right? So I stayed with this company. But I will never forget pulling away that day thinking to myself, this cannot be my forever because I'm not happy anymore. I'm settling. I'm stuck. Right? So now that day, I want to fast forward a few months later. And I am at doing my work. I'm 35 minutes from my house. 35 minutes from my house. And I pull into a doctor's office and I get a phone call. And it's from my nanny. She's home. And I said, hi, what's going on? And she's hysterical crying, nearly hyperventilating. I said, Sammy, you got to get it together. What's happening right now? She said, I fell down the stairs and I landed on Derek, who was my 5-month-old baby. Okay, 5 months. And she fell on top of him. And he's not moving his leg. He's not moving his right leg. So now I'm 35 minutes from my house. And I had to drive all the way home to figure out what was happening with my kid because someone else was watching them. And that's not what I wanted. So I will never, ever, I feel this like my heart is racing as if I'm in that car right now. So I remember driving home and literally praying to God, God, whatever you're about to do, please make this career end and something else open. I do not want this anymore. I know my life is not supposed to be this. I know that my life is supposed to have more impact, and that impact starts with my children. This isn't for me anymore. I'm made for something else. You brought me here to do something bigger. This wasn't it. So now I pull up at my house, my babysitter's still crying, and my son, my 5-month-old, had a broken leg. 5 months. And I wasn't there. Why? Because I made a choice to have a big corporate career, and I settled for that because I didn't know any better. Because I was afraid to jump, and I was afraid to do something bigger, to do something more. So as things happen, and as life happens, and as things change, and as a journey starts to unfold, I was very blessed because it was only a handful of months later that I was downsized from that fancy company and that fancy career. And about 10 days after that day that I was downsized, I learned about the incredible Juice Plus company. And I truly knew that this was my moment. I truly knew that this was something that I could wrap my heart and my passion around. I loved nutrition. I loved helping people. I just didn't know how that was going to equal a career. So I was downsized from that fancy career. 10 days later, I learned about the Juice Plus products and company. And about a week later, I said yes to it all. And I haven't looked back since because I knew I was meant to do something bigger than what I was settling for at that time. So as I started this journey, a lot of obstacles come into play, a lot. And, what happens is that as we start on any new journey, we have to overcome a lot of things. Okay, I'm sorry. Kim, you're going to have to take over. I'm so sorry, guys. Kim, can you jump in for me?
I absolutely will, guys. See, this is how life happens. I will absolutely jump in, and Stacy can absolutely positively pick up right where she left off. So my name is Kim McCall. I'm also a national marketing director with the Juice Plus company. I am a health coach, and my most important job, in my personal opinion, is being a mom. My two kiddos, Caitlin and Michael, are my world, and you'll hear a lot about that when it comes to my journey. So some of you know me better than others, and I think when we're having a meant for more conversation, that it's important to kind of have some context or some flavor for how somebody works, for what type of person they are. So for those of you who don't know me that well, I'm going to try to paint a picture of young Kim. I should have picture my hair in ponytails. We'll call young Kim Kimmy. We'll call her Kimmy. I remember at least 100 times my mom and dad saying to me, when are you going to realize that life is not just one big party? I'm like, what? My response was always, oh, when it stops being one. Okay, so just to put it into context, since I was born, I have had a desire to make life fun. I've always thought it could be, despite what the world was telling me, okay? Because a lot of my messaging from the world was that life's not easy and things can be hard. I decided that maybe was not necessarily true. So Kimmy and her two pigtails was always saying, life will stop being one big party when I say so, right? And I brought my yearbook here. I actually saw a couple of people jump on from the class of 94. So you better hope I don't break out your pictures and senior quotes, but here you go. I want to read 2 senior quotes for you with my pigtails so you can also get a flavor of who I was at a young age. One of my senior quotes is, choose a job you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. Interesting, right? Here's a good one. In the game of life, this one's a little intense, okay? In the game of life, even front row center seats don't interest me. I came to play. Guys, I read that to my kids the other day and they were like, that is so cringy, Mom. And I was like, yeah, but it's also kind of awesome too, right? And they were like, yeah, it is kind of awesome. We came to play, front row seats. So fast forward, okay? The pigtails are out. I'm now in a very coiffed bun. We're fast forwarding to 20-something Kim. Kimmy is left in the dust. We'll call this one Kimberly. Kimberly is when I realized that I wanted more, that I felt like I was meant for more. So I was in a highfalutin corporate job, much like Stacy mentioned, if that's even a word. I've never seen it in writing, but a highfalutin corporate job. Same as Stacy, fancy clothes, fancy car. I was making great money, still not what I was worth, mind you, but great money by most people's standards. And I had the flexibility to work from home. So that all sounds pretty great, right? It does, right? No, I literally was wearing the handcuffs of stress that comes from working for somebody else, that comes from working in a sales role in corporate America. And I literally didn't care at all about what I was doing. This is a person who had said, choose a job you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. And I came to play. What was I doing? Okay. And then my huge wake-up call came on a day where I was offered a tremendous promotion. And I was kind of like a deer in headlights. I was like, oh, I'm so flattered. Yes, this is great. Right? When do I start? I drove home and I freaked out. And I called them back and I said, I don't want it. I don't want the promotion. And then I started thinking about, well, maybe I should just take that promotion because that will get me to the promotion that comes after that. And I thought about the promotion that came after that. And I'm like, I don't want that one either. About the one that came after that. And I'm like, oh, I don't want that one either. That was a huge wake-up call for me. There was nothing down the road of success where I was currently spending so much of my time and effort that I wanted. It was very shortly after that I found the community that I'm a part of now, that Stacy mentioned, called the Healthy Living Revolution. And it really set my soul on fire. But you guys, that right there, that's a scary moment. Okay, you feel lucky that something calls you, that you feel like you found your it, but really committing to that calling, that means having to overcome what Stacey just said, obstacles and any story that you've been telling yourself. So I'm going to share a couple of my obstacles and a couple of my stories that are specific to my journey, because you may very likely run into something really similar when you have that meant for more moment, when you're called to go in a different direction. Okay? So first, to put it into context, like Stacey said, this community, the one that I was really drawn to, their core value is to inspire healthy living. Very cool. Okay? Very, very cool. The reason I was so drawn to that community is because at that point in my life, in my mid-30s, I was filled with fear and mom guilt. I was filled with fear because my family history is legit, like having a loaded gun pointed at you, okay? Lots of fear. My mom's had cancer twice. My dad's been on heart medication since his 30s, diabetes, stroke, you name it, we've had it, my immediate relatives, okay? Lots of fear and guilt, because I knew, I'm a health coach, remember? I have a biology background. I knew for a fact that lifestyle could be our armor. I knew that I could just jump my family right into a suit of armor that would help us be as close to bulletproof as possible. And you know what? As hard as I tried, it still wasn't happening. Those lifestyle things that were so important, okay? So when I heard about this community, it wasn't like a whisper. That calling wasn't like, maybe this is something you should do. It was like a battle cry, okay? I knew for a fact that this is it. I wanted to be a wellness warrior. Enter obstacle number one, and this was a huge one for me. I was so worried about being that girl. Okay, and you guys know who I'm talking about. Picture her right now. You know who I'm talking about? That girl is your friend that's trying to sell you something. Okay, that friend that honestly, you don't even like her that much anymore because she keeps trying to sell you something. Do you know how much I didn't want to be that girl? But guess what? I had enough friends carrying around as much fear and as much guilt as I did. I didn't have to face that head on right away. I didn't have to sell anything. They wanted to get healthy, just like I did. I was lucky there. But then they started telling me all the crazy, awesome things that were happening to their families. That is when I knew I had to face that fear. I knew that I had to face that I don't want to be girl obstacle head on. But then I realized something. Okay, I thought about, well, you don't want to be that girl. You want to be true to yourself. Who are you? And I started thinking, if I knew about this and didn't tell people, because these people, they're telling me the truth, right? They're being honest. They have no reason to be anything but. They're dear friends of mine. If I knew about something like this and didn't tell people, it would be like having the best meal of my life at a restaurant, like right down the street, and never telling a single neighbor about it. That's not me. That's not who I am, right? So I kind of reframed my thinking on that, and it really got me through that obstacle. Another obstacle that was so big for me was detaching from outcomes, okay? So when you are incredibly passionate about whatever it is that you're doing, it is very easy, guys. It is very easy to feel absolutely crazed when somebody you love doesn't see value in it. Again, that was a huge obstacle for me. And then I learned from somebody very wise that not just with this, but with anything in life, you can throw somebody a lifeline, but you cannot grab it for them. And that's okay, you know? And I have friends who have had meant for more moments. And for some of them, their calling has been very similar to mine, and they're part of this community with me. For some of them, it's been different. But it doesn't matter. For some of them, it's moving to LA to become an actress. It doesn't matter if what you're feeling called to do is moving to LA to pursue acting, or walking out of your corporate America job to start, you know, your own business doing something you love. Regardless of that, when you detach from outcome, despite your excitement and belief, things will get a lot easier. So the next thing Stacey and I wanted to talk about were stories. what stories, did we tell ourselves along the way? And to be honest, stories actually play a really powerful role in my journey altogether. And one of the things that I find the most interesting about stories is that they're open to interpretation. Okay. So if a story you're telling yourself right now isn't eliciting a desirable emotional response, you've got two choices. You can either rewrite the story because you are holding the pen, okay? Or you can simply reframe the story that you've been telling yourself. And I'm going to tell you 3 or 4 of the stories that I was telling myself along the way that could have really, really held me back, okay? The first story I was telling myself as I was taking this leap of faith, right, into that healthy living revolution, I did a lot of research, guys, on the products I was going to be sharing, on the community itself, and they all led me to the same conclusion, that it was too good to be true, right? Has anyone ever told themselves that story about anything in life? Maybe it was when you met the person you're now married to, right? It's easy to feel that way when we find something amazing. And I thought to myself, for sure, this is too good to be true. And as I told somebody the other day, then I had cauliflower pizza crust. And I realized that some things really aren't too good to be true, right? And after a certain amount of time inside of the community that I'm a part of, I stopped looking for the cracks. I stopped, looking for the boogeyman around every corner. And I started being super generous about sharing the product and the business that were changing our lives, right? Another story I told myself, and maybe you've had this one too, is that this community that's opening me with like really open arms here, really lifting me up, this community that I have found, they can't possibly care about me as much as they act like they do. Can't possibly. There's got to be ulterior motive. There's got to be a facade. They can't possibly care about me as much as they're acting like. And then right about the time that story was about to shut me down, I had a friend going through a really toxic, rough relationship. And she came out of it and she said to me, you know what? I'm kind of glad it all happened because I learned a really important lesson. And the lesson is this. She said, the lesson I learned is when people treat you like they don't care, you should believe them. I was like, wow, so simple yet so true. But then I also realized, you know what? If that's true, and it is, the flip side must also be true. When people treat you like they care, you should believe them because they do, okay? Another story I told myself, and I have told this story over and over and over again to myself, and I know there are people on the phone that have told themselves this story because I've had the conversations with you as recently as this week. My twin sister and I have said it so many times. Our life has been so good. We feel so lucky, so blessed. Our life has been so good that at some point, the other shoe has to drop. Has anyone ever felt that way? Whether it's about your whole life or a certain thing you have going on. And here's what I realized when I started digging deep on that. When people have a good life, when people have something good going on, it typically elicits one of two feelings in them. It's either going to elicit the feeling of guilt or the feeling of gratitude. If it elicits guilt, that's going to play out as self-sabotage. If it elicits gratitude, that's going to play out as generosity. So I reframe every thought I have about how lucky I've been with eyes on gratitude. Okay? The other shoe does not have to drop. The last story I told myself most frequently, and this, you guys, it was potentially the most dangerous story because my kids are my world, was that I couldn't be the kind of mom I wanted to be and also be crazy successful in business. Any of you ever told yourself that? No way could I be the kind of mom I wanted to be and crazy successful in business. You know what? Bull. Not true. I'm the kind of mom I want to be because of my business. Oh, totally. I vibe high, and that is so important to me because my kids are super in tune with that. I vibe high because of my business. I tell myself good stories because of my business community. And good stories, I have found, turn into good mindset pretty easily too. If you start to tell yourself good stories, they will grow into good mindset. And mindset is contagious, okay? So my kids may have, and they may have avoided the flu and croup and pink eye and hand, foot, and mouth and all that all these years, but they have not avoided, and they have caught the mindset of positivity and thriving that I have been gifted by being a part of this community. And I want to give you a quick example. Last night, I was at Michael's football game. Michael is 8. He's in 2nd grade. His team was down by 1 touchdown. And the other team had possession of the ball, okay? Michael asks the ref, hey ref, how much time is left on the clock? Again, they're down by a touchdown, other team has the ball. The referee says, 30 seconds, son, 30 seconds left on the clock. The parents around me start packing up because they heard the ref say 30 seconds. Michael, on the contrary, got this big grin on his face, and he goes, awesome. And he looked over and he goes, hey mom, there's still 30 seconds left. We can intercept the other team can hear every word he's saying. We can intercept the ball and run for a touchdown. And one of the moms standing next to me puts her chair down. She goes, or you can think of the 30 seconds that way. And I was like, yeah. What do you think happened next, guys? The other team passes the ball. Michael jumps up as high as he can, catches it, runs all the way down the field, okay? When we believe the good stories that we're telling ourselves, it becomes mindset. And to take it a step further, the right mindset makes us capable of actually manifesting what it is that we want. So that story I originally told myself of, I can't be the kind of mom I want to be and be the kind of business person I want to be, was crap. You know, the leveling up, the personal growth I have had becoming the business person I am has made me the mom I am. It's made Michael the baller that he is. You know, what kid is going to do that? That was amazing. And I see it happen all the time. The last question we wanted to examine is like, okay, you've overcome some obstacles and still are, you know, you've reframed or rewritten some stories and still are. Where do you see yourself right now? In our community, there's something called 100 Club, okay? All that means is that you have helped a lot of people get healthy. I like to think of it as the ripple effect. Here's what the ripple effect means to me. If you can change enough lives, you can change the world. And I know that sounds pretty extreme, okay? But I want to rewind back to the beginning to Ponytail Kim. Not messy bun getting things done Kim, right? Ponytail Kim. We're back to little Kim now. When I was little, and I still remember where I was sitting, my dad looked at me and he said to me, you know what? You are going to change so many lives that you're actually going to change the world. And you know what is crazy, you guys? I believed him. I believed him. And what's even crazier is that I still believe him. I still believe him. So much so that I spent the first 35 years of my life, I always say, like with my head on a swivel, kind of searching for that vehicle that could make that possible. Okay? And you guys, when I say I was searching for a vehicle to make that possible, I would have settled for a Honda Odyssey. I would have settled for a Honda Odyssey, but somebody handed me a Porsche. Somebody handed me a Porsche about 8 years ago, okay? And I was telling my kids a couple weeks ago, I was kind of telling them a story similar. And I said, you know what? I didn't waste any time looking for the key either. Because some people think, well, you've got the vehicle, now you need the key. I didn't waste any time looking for the key because my dad already told me I was the key, right? So if you guys feel like the words you say to your kids or your parents or your friends don't have an impact, trust me, they do. They do have a lasting impact. When he said that to me, it shaped the way I have thought of what I was supposed to do in this world forever and ever. And just in case no one has ever said that to you, I'm telling you right now, that you can change the world. You absolutely can. You are 100% the key to something so totally awesome. You absolutely are. And hopefully Stacy's back. Stacy, you back, girl?
Stacy could not get back on. Everything is fine. She just had something she had to take care of real quick, and she wanted me to ask you guys just to please accept her apology. She's so sorry. But she knew Kim had it all under control and would do an incredible job sharing when she realized that she was meant for more.
There you go. And you guys really, you know what? I want to tell you right now, what Stacy just did, prioritizing her family, it's exactly what we're talking about right here. She is living her truth. Because if this were her corporate job, she wouldn't have been able to do that, okay? Her kids needed her, and because she made the decision, she could do it, okay? So I actually think that wasn't put on, by the way. Now people are going to think we're crazy, and we weren't. But I think that is such a prime example of being true to yourself, right? And knowing where your heart is sending you. So thank you for being on tonight. I know that we covered quite a bit, and I do think it's so cool to sit down and just kind of take stock of if you have that calling. Some people might have already felt there more. Some people feel like they're where they're supposed to be, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people feel that need for more. And if you do, I think it's great to do some investigating. What do you love? What does light your soul on fire? Because really, truly, back to the senior quote, if you choose a job you love, you will never, ever work a day in your life. You can be successful at anything if it's something you care about. If it's something that you love, you will overcome the obstacles. You will rewrite those stories. You will reframe the stories. You know, surround yourself with a community like I'm talking about, because that mindset piece is critical. You know, when you have just a whole community of people reminding you daily that you can do anything you want to do, you're going to turn into somebody who can help other people feel that way. It's the ripple effect. So hopefully some of you are walking away tonight feeling that way, feeling inspired, feeling like more, feeling like you're without a doubt the key to something, you know, to find your vehicle, to get on the road and start the beautiful drive. So thank you so much. This was indeed recorded. So if you heard something tonight that you feel like really spoke to you, ask us for the link and you can absolutely share it with anybody, or you can connect them with Stacy or myself, and we're happy to share, you know, our stories on a more one-on-one or a more personal level. But thank you guys for jumping on.
Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, Kim.
You're
Thank
so
you, Kim. That was
welcome.
awesome.
Elaine, if you wanted to stop recording, I'm happy to stay.